What if I told you that there are small, simple habits available to every woman? Habits that don't just change how others see you, but more importantly, change how you see yourself. You are not what you are worth, but what you show every single day. And isn't that the truth? Your value isn't something written across your forehead or stitched on your clothes. It shows in your energy, in the way you move, in the choices you make, and in the consistency of who you are day after day. I'm not here to share vague or abstract principles. I want to talk about 5 powerful habits that you can start practicing right now. Habits that will help you increase your value, not by comparing yourself with other women, but by slowly becoming a clearer, steadier, and more respected version of yourself. And before we dive in, let me remind you, stay connected here. Not just by pressing a button to subscribe, but because every word you hear, every lesson we share together, becomes another piece of armor you can wear as you build the life you long for. So let's start. The very first habit, pay attention to your body language. Before you ever speak a single word, your body has already spoken for you. And it often speaks louder than your actual voice. Picture yourself walking into a room full of strangers. You haven't opened your mouth, yet people are already forming an opinion. They notice if your shoulders are slouched or upright, if your chin is lifted or lowered, if your steps are hesitant or steady. Within seconds, they've received a silent message from you. That's body language. The quiet communication that arrives before sentences, before introductions, before explanations. The challenge is that many women ignore this silent expression for years. We believe that confidence comes from how well we can talk. But in reality, it begins much earlier. It begins with how you walk into a space. I remember meeting a woman at a conference, not the most successful in terms of achievements, not dressed in the most expensive clothes. Yet, when she entered the room, everyone noticed her. She stood tall, her shoulders were open, her movements calm, her eyes steady. She didn't need to say much because her presence already spoke. And what happened? People wanted to listen before she even introduced herself. The best part is, confidence doesn't have to be something you're born with. You can train yourself into it. That's where your freedom lies. Take posture, for example. Many of us walk with our heads lowered, almost as if we wish to disappear. We don't realize our body is whispering, I'm not sure if I belong here. But you can retrain yourself. Lift your head. Straighten your back. Let your shoulders relax but open. Raise your chin, not to look arrogant, but to say with your presence, yes, I am here. Then, eye contact. Eye contact is one of the strongest signals of confidence. Too little and you look uncertain. Too much and it can feel harsh or intimidating. But that calm, steady gaze with natural blinking, that creates instant trust. I've seen whole conversations shift because one woman chose to hold her gaze just a moment longer. With calmness, not with force. And your gestures, they tell stories too. Quick, restless hand movements reveal nerves. Arms crossed tightly send the signal of being closed off. But slow, thoughtful gestures, they carry meaning. Watch women who speak with passion and clarity. Every movement adds weight to their words. They don't flail or fidget. They speak with their whole body, and it's powerful. But here's something important. Body language isn't just about impressing others. It also reshapes how you see yourself. Scientists call it body feedback. Your body influences your mind just as much as your mind influences your body. When you carry yourself like a confident woman, your brain slowly begins to believe it. That's not magic, it's biology. Hormones shift. Stress decreases. Confidence rises. Try this. The next time you feel nervous, step aside for 2 minutes. Plant your feet firmly on the ground. Stand tall, shoulders back, hands on your hips, chin lifted. Breathe deeply. Walk in as though the room was already yours. Even if inside you still feel unsure, the world doesn't hear your inner thoughts. It sees your presence. And presence opens doors. I've witnessed women completely transform their lives with this one habit. One woman I knew avoided events for years because she felt too shy and thought she didn't know what to say. I gave her one simple challenge, not to rehearse words, but to practice posture. Within 3 months, she wasn't just attending events. She was being invited as a guest others wanted to meet. Not because she suddenly became the best speaker, but because she carried herself differently. People noticed and people responded. At first, yes, it may feel like you're playing a role, but it's not a mask. It's you. The version of you that is stronger, clearer, and more consistent. What you show on the outside over time reshapes the woman you feel inside. Of course, there's something vital to remember here. Strong posture, steady eyes, graceful gestures. These won't mean much if your actions don't line up. Confidence without honesty won't last. And that leads us straight into the second habit. One that gives true weight to everything you show, keeping your promises. Trust is like glass. Precious, beautiful, but fragile. It takes time to build and just a moment to shatter. Nothing cracks trust faster than broken promises. And listen, it's not just the big promises that matter. Even the small ones carry weight. When you tell a friend, "I'll call you tomorrow," but you forget, even without meaning to, you've sent the message, "You can't fully count on me." It doesn't matter if you had a good reason. Over time, those small scratches weaken your credibility. I once knew a woman who had a wonderful personality and great skills, but she said, yes, far too often. Someone at work asked for help? Yes. A neighbor asked for a favor? Yes. A family member needed her time? Yes again. But she couldn't keep up with all those commitments. And gradually, she let people down. Not because she didn't care, but because she overpromised. The result, people started to stop depending on her. The truth is simple. It's better to promise less and always keep it than to promise more and sometimes fail. Because every promise you make is an invisible contract. And every time you keep it, you carve trust deeper into the hearts of others. But keeping promises doesn't just build other people's respect. It builds your own. Every time you follow through, even in small ways, you strengthen your self-worth. You tell yourself, I am dependable. I can count on me. And once you start seeing yourself that way, your ability to handle bigger responsibilities, bigger challenges, and bigger opportunities grows. I've seen women change their entire outlook on life simply by learning to value their word. Because when you trust yourself, everything around you begins to shift. For example, a young woman once told me she felt invisible at work. She said, I do my job well, but nobody seems to respect me or take me seriously. At first, she believed it was only because of how others treated her, but when I watched her closely, the picture became clearer. She often arrived late to meetings, delayed small tasks, and forgot the little details she had promised to deliver. None of these mistakes were huge on their own, but together they quietly damaged her reputation. People began to see her as unreliable, even though she was smart and capable. We worked on a simple but life-changing rule: never make a promise she couldn't keep 100%. 6 months later, something beautiful happened. She was promoted. Not because she had learned a brand new skill, but because she had changed how she honored her commitments. She had become known as a woman of her word. That doesn't mean you should always say yes. In fact, the women who are deeply respected are usually the ones who can also say no without shame or guilt. They know that rejecting a promise is far more honest and kind than saying yes and breaking it later. One of my close friends, who is a personal trainer, never takes on more than 6 women clients at the same time, even though she could probably handle 10 and make more money. She refuses. Why? Because she knows that if she spreads herself too thin, she cannot give each client the attention and quality she promises. And it is this very consistency that has built her strong reputation. Everyone knows if she commits, she shows up fully. Here is a rule you can begin using right now if you realize you cannot keep a promise. Speak up in time. It is 1,000 times better to honestly admit beforehand that you won't be able to deliver on time than to let someone discover the truth later. That honesty preserves trust, and trust is priceless. But there is something even deeper. The promises you make to yourself are the most important of all. Deciding to wake up early tomorrow and then hitting the snooze button or telling yourself you'll start that passion project but postponing it again. These small self-betrayals quietly tell your heart, my own word doesn't matter. And nothing weakens a woman's spirit more than losing faith in her own word. It chips away at your motivation, your confidence, and your sense of worth. That's why I encourage women to keep at least one promise to themselves every single day, no matter how small it seems. It could be as simple as drinking more water, taking a 10-minute walk, or finishing a chapter of a book you've been meaning to read. It's not about how grand the action is. It's about proving to yourself that when you say you'll do something, you will. Even a small promise fulfilled plants a seed of strength inside you. You might not see the change right away, but over time, those seeds grow into a reputation within yourself and with others that opens doors you never imagined could open. And then there is something even more powerful than keeping your commitments. It's the ability to truly listen. Many women are naturally empathetic, but in today's noisy world, even we forget that listening is not just hearing words. It is giving someone the gift of feeling seen and valued. Respect is not only earned through speaking well, but also through listening with your whole heart. If you really want to gain admiration and respect, learn when silence is stronger than words. Learn when listening carries more weight than speaking. This is where the next habit comes alive: talk less, listen more. Most people do not realize this truth. It's not the talkers who are remembered, but the ones who listen deeply. In a world drowning in noise, the one who truly listens becomes rare, precious, unforgettable. Listening doesn't mean waiting for your turn to respond or nodding politely while your mind races with your own stories. True listening means putting your own thoughts aside for a moment and stepping into the world of the other person, making them feel that for these few minutes, their story matters more than your own. I once met a woman leader who was respected by everyone, not because she always had the best ideas, but because she made people feel important. When someone came to her with a concern, she would put aside her phone, look them straight in the eyes, and listen as if every single word had weight. She didn't ask questions to test them or to show how smart she was. She asked questions to truly understand. And in a company where everyone was chasing numbers, she was building something far more powerful: trust. I remember once sitting in a cafe, watching a couple. The man spoke endlessly, his words pouring out without pause. He didn't notice how the woman across from him looked down, clutching her coffee cup tighter and tighter. Once, she tried to speak, but he cut her off, not out of cruelty, but simply out of habit. And I wondered to myself, how many relationships fall into silence, not because of anger, but because one person never learned how to be silent at the right time. When you truly listen, you give someone a silent but powerful gift, the message: you matter to me. And that message lasts far longer than the most eloquent speech. Listening also makes you wiser. Every single person carries knowledge you don't have. an experience, a perspective, a lesson. But you'll never uncover it if you fill all the silence with your own voice. Strangely enough, you learn more when you speak less. I call this the mirror effect. When you listen, you become like a mirror in which the other person sees themselves more clearly. Sometimes, simply hearing their own words spoken out loud helps them find the answers they were searching for, and you become the one who gave them that clarity without even saying much at all. But let's be clear, listening doesn't only mean staying quiet. It means showing that you are present. It's in the eye contact, the nods, the small facial expressions that tell them you're with them. It's in asking thoughtful follow-up questions that prove you heard them. If a friend says she had a terrible day, instead of immediately telling your own story of a bad day, you could simply ask, "What happened?" That simple question shows care. And here's a golden rule: don't rush to fill silence. Silence may feel uncomfortable at first, but often the most meaningful words come right after it. Give space. Let it breathe. That space is where hearts open. I have seen this habit transform relationships completely. A woman I know had constant conflict with her teenage daughter. Every talk ended in shouting. One day, the mother decided to stop rushing into answers. She simply listened and asked short, gentle questions. The first time, her daughter was surprised. The second time, she spoke a little longer. And within weeks, their conversations began to soften. They still didn't agree on everything, but something had shifted. Listening had unlocked a door that endless words had kept shut. That is the power of listening. It doesn't guarantee you will convince the other person, but it guarantees they will feel understood. And in a world where everyone is desperate to be right, the gift of feeling understood is priceless. Of course, balance is needed. Listening doesn't mean losing yourself. There will be times when you must speak boldly, share your vision, and defend your truth. But most of the time, the strength of your words depends on how well you've listened first. It's like pulling back the string of a bow. The more careful the aim, the farther the arrow will fly. So ask yourself in your next conversation, am I really listening? Or am I just waiting for my turn to talk? If it's the latter, pause. Take a breath. Let the other person speak fully. You'll be amazed at how people open their hearts when they feel your complete attention. And here's the beautiful part. When women master the art of listening, they don't just build respect, they build connection. And connection is what truly changes lives. The more you truly listen, the more sensitive you become to little things that most people miss. The soft changes in someone's tone, the way they pause between words, the tiny expressions on their face that last just a second. These small signals carry so much truth, often more than the actual words. And when you begin to notice them, you start to understand on a deeper level than you ever thought possible. This deeper understanding is what gives you an advantage, whether it's in friendships, in family, in your career, or even in those delicate conversations that shape your life. Listening is not just a skill, it is an art. And like any art, it grows more powerful the more you practice it. So start today. Speak a little less. Listen a little more. Watch closely. You'll begin to see what changes. Sometimes when you really listen, you also discover something about yourself. Because the way others respond to you is often shaped by the image you present to the world. And this leads directly to another important truth. Dress like the woman you want to become. Your clothing, your style is like a quiet language. It speaks even when you say nothing. Every color you wear, every cut of fabric, every little accessory tells a part of your story. And here's the beautiful part. You are the author of that story. People may not know who you are at first glance, but they read your appearance. They're looking at the cover of a book. They don't know the content yet. But in just a few seconds, they make a choice. Do I want to turn the pages? Do I want to know more? This isn't about being shallow. It's about alignment. Your outward image should reflect not only who you are now, but also the woman you are becoming. I once met a young woman with so much potential. She was bright, passionate, full of ideas, but she dressed as though she didn't believe in herself at all. Wrinkled clothes, worn out shoes, hair pulled together in a rush. When I asked her why, she smiled and said, "I don't want people to judge me by how I look. I want them to see my heart and my ideas." I understood her completely because I had once thought the same way. But life taught me a difficult truth. The world doesn't work like that. People see you before they hear you. And if your appearance doesn't match the greatness inside you, you begin the journey at a disadvantage. Dressing like the woman you want to become doesn't mean spending thousands on designer brands. It means choosing clothes that are neat, clean, and that make you feel strong, graceful, and intentional. It's about asking yourself every single morning, does what I'm wearing today tell the story I want to share with the world? A mentor of mine used to call this invisible armor. Every morning, she would carefully choose her clothes, not because she wanted to impress people, but because she wanted to feel ready. She treated her wardrobe like a set of tools. A crisp blouse, a simple dress that fit well, or even a pair of polished shoes gave her the mindset she needed. And when she felt prepared, she carried herself differently. She spoke with more confidence. She looked people in the eyes. She didn't shrink back. She showed up as the woman she was meant to be. That's the secret. Clothing doesn't only change how others see you. It changes how you see yourself. Science even supports this. Studies show that when people wear clothes associated with strength, professionalism, or elegance, they naturally begin to act more confident and focused. Your mind adapts to the image you see in the mirror. I remember another woman preparing for a life-changing job interview. She was torn between wearing a casual dress or a more professional suit. She hesitated, afraid she might look overdressed. In the end, she chose the suit. And something powerful happened. The moment she looked at herself in the mirror, her whole body language shifted. She walked with a new confidence. She spoke with calm assurance. She even breathed differently. That day, she got the job, not only because of her qualifications, but because she stepped into that room already embodying the woman she wanted them to see. But let me make this clear. Being well dressed doesn't mean copying someone else's style. It means finding your own. What works for a corporate leader in a tailored blazer might not work for a creative artist or a woman building her own small business from home. The key is authenticity. Choose clothes that feel true to your personality and your dreams. And remember, it's not just about what you wear, but how you care for it. The most beautiful blouse loses its impact if it's wrinkled. The most expensive heels look careless if they're scuffed. The way you care for your appearance reflects the way you care for your work, your family, and your life. Clothing can even open doors. A bright color can draw someone's eye. A necklace with a story behind it can spark a conversation. I've seen friendships and opportunities grow from a simple compliment on a scarf or a pair of earrings. That's how powerful this silent language is. So how can you start living this habit? Keep it simple. Divide your wardrobe into two parts. Clothes that make you feel alive, confident and radiant, and clothes that make you feel tired, dull, or small. Each morning, only choose from the first group, even if it's just for an ordinary day. Because every single day is a chance to practice becoming the woman you're meant to be. And remember, it's not vanity, it's respect. Respect for yourself and for the people you meet. When you take care of your appearance, you are sending a message. I take this seriously. I respect myself. And I respect you. That message stays with people long after the conversation ends. But there's another form of respect, one that speaks even louder than clothing. That is the gift of being on time. Punctuality is not just about watching the clock. It's about honoring your word. It's about showing someone else, your time matters to me as much as my own. What you focus your attention on gains meaning in your life. Being on time